yeah, good idea. That's what everybody says.
Yeah.
And then they say your name all day long. Every time you walk by, they're like, hey,
Yeah.
all day long. I just found myself doing that. I'm like, such a smart idea. So, okay, ready to go, everybody? Okay, all right. I'm going to share my screen here. No. Yes. Here we go. Okay, so it's a lot to look at. I realize that. But let's see how I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna shut down my mail so that doesn't come up. Yeah. All right. Shut down Safari. Sorry for the time wasted here. All right. So this is kind of like our Bible. This is a pretty kick-ass framework for how you get to building your brand, which is what you want to do professionally in the film industry quickly. This is what is missing for many people that start as a PA and they don't know really how to get to camera or how to get to directing. So they just keep PAing for 10 years. Now, Rooney is going to become an AD. That means that every single day that she is working as a production assistant is being counted for the DGA. She must work as a production. They must work as a production assistant for all these days to be counted for the DGA. Not necessarily the case, though, for other jobs, guys. Like sound, you can be working as a production assistant on some big union sets, like Rooney is, and meeting people in those areas, very good to make those connections. And at the same time, you can be working on non-union shoots, doing your craft. To me, it's really a two-pronged approach, because that's what I did. That's how I moved so fast into my craft, was I was working as a production assistant, meeting everybody, and then I was going out there and seeking jobs to work on as a sound mixer to get my experience and know what I was doing. And I could also then talk about it with people that were hiring me as a production assistant so that they would hire me for that job. So freaking smart. And so Rooney's going to be, she's on these shows. She's going to be able to qualify for the DGA. That'll be awesome. But in addition to that, as soon as Rooney has time to go out there and work on ADing other non-union jobs, she's going to do that. Oh, this is hard for me. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Rooney. Yeah, I got your name. It's just that the she and they. That's just I keep like saying she.
It'll be a good thing for you to practice. We're in the new world now.
It is so good. It is so good.
Yeah.
I love you, by the way.
I love you too.
Okay. All right. So let's go over this base body work and brand. All right. The first thing that we do is we use the get on shoots method to get production assistant experience. Okay. So that we're meeting everybody. We're building our resume from our experience list. You get your experience list in module, I believe it's module 4. Yeah. And those are everything that you should be doing that is going to be great to put on your resume. So a lot of people there on set, and they're not even thinking about, what should I do? You got the experience list. You go and you do these things. And then that allows you to build a resume that people go, oh my God, that's exactly what I need you to do. You're great. You're experienced. Did you, Rooney, build your resume from the experience list? You remember the experience list?
Oh, I literally, I have my notebook, like, from when I started. So I'm sure it's in here
Awesome.
somewhere. I took a lot of notes.
Was That's a document. That's a document.
Oh, okay. I just remember, like, having, I don't know if it was an assignment given here or if it was something I just, like, did in my head, but I know that, like, from every job I've had, that there's some type of experience that's relatable to the film industry. Like, I know as, you know, I bartended and I was, you know, a server for a long time, so that has so many skills right in there that apply directly to being a PA.
Yes. And you did a great job with those resumes that you sent me too, that showed the progression of resumes. Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit.
That was a fun one. I love keeping my old resumes and, like, just having that, like, it's like an artifact of, like, how much I've grown from, you know, I think that's been in, like, 8 years that I've had a professional resume.
It's so good to do that, you guys. It's so good to look back and see how much you've grown.
Yeah.
That's a really good practice. Let me see if I want to try to get rid of this here. Anybody know how to get rid of this here?
Click the format button on the top.
Format.
Not like on the top of the actual window.
Oh, thanks. And it'll go away.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Proficient in Mac.
Oh, yeah. That's so good. Okay, because you don't need to see me. You just need to see this. Okay, perfect. We got it going on now. All right. Oh, I love it. Okay, great. So, yeah. Build your resume. So, experience list is a list of tasks that you do on set, and so that you're busy, you know what to do, you move with purpose, you're just like, you're everywhere. And then people have a great impression of you, and they're like, oh, wow, you know exactly what to do. They'll think that you've been doing this for years when you're just starting. That happens with a lot of our people using that experience list. A lot of those same tasks will go on the resume. Only initially, maybe for the first 6 months, you'll have those tasks on there, and pretty soon you're going to have so many credits that you're going to start losing the tasks because you don't need to show that you have experience as a production assistant. You got all these people that you worked with already.
Yeah.
So then that will come off. Okay, the next way to build the base. So Get on Shoots method is a great way to build the base. It's really how everybody builds their base. You get on these free shoots, and then some of them are $50 or $100. You're so good that people start passing your name around. And then you get on more shoots, you meet more people, and film industry is a paid industry, so you eventually start getting paid work. And it can happen the second month. That's happened for many people. Like, they start this program, they do the Get on Shoots method, boom, they're on a TV show. And they're working 5 days a week. For some people, it takes longer. And it's impossible to know when it's going to happen, that you're going to start getting pulled into the professional world. But there's other things you can do to combine with this method to get pulled into the professional world. And here's another one: background to production assistant method, background to PA method. Now, Rooney didn't do this. She got pulled in to the professional world from the Get on Shoots method, and meeting people and talking to people, which is going to be down here. But background to production assistant method is really great. Jake got a lot of work that way. Patrick got a lot of work that way. Jennifer broke into Atlanta that way. And that's where first you have to do the Get on Shoots method, guys. You've got to do that because that's how you fill up your resume with shoots, and you get good and you get confident. Now, once you've been on, like, say, 10 shoots, maybe 20 shoots, it's not that hard to get on those shoots because a lot of times they're single-day shoots. But whatever they are, you get on them. But we don't do more than 3 days max for free with the same people. Okay, they might ask you to do 10 days. Tell them, hey, sounds like a great shoot. I'm available for 2 days. You'd be better off filling your schedule with other shoots, working for free for other people so you meet more people. Right? Okay. So once you've been on 10 or 20 shoots, then it's great to do background. You know why? Because when you're doing background, you're working with a background production assistant, the second AD, and you're able to talk to them. And you're able to say, hey, I'm also a PA. I worked on this thing. I worked on a music video. I got this thing coming up next week with confidence.
I can
You know you're good.
I can also plug that earlier, that video that we did a few months ago. I did a lot of like tips and tricks on like background and some good advice, like if you're doing background, how to talk to the PAs and like when to talk to the PAs. So I don't know where it is on the website, but go find it.
Yeah, it's there. We used everything and put it out there. Maybe repeat it though real quick right now, just in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing to do if you're background, first of all, is just like you always have to just like be prepared to go to set immediately. So when they give you like 5-10 minute warnings to go to set, like you've already used the bathroom, you're not the person that they're waiting on to bring to set. Just follow directions and like listen to what the production assistants are saying. Like just be top notch as the background and follow directions, because especially if it's with a lot of people, it can be really stressful for the production assistants. And I think the best way to talk to the PAs is when you're walking from the holding area that you're going to be in all day to set, because that's when the production assistant isn't doing much of anything but walking the background to set. And you know, if in passing you're like, oh, I'd like to work as a production assistant, they can't really like help you in a moment that they're not able to listen to you. If you just say something like that, it's not really gonna like do you any good by mentioning it. And it's nothing to like boast or brag about or anything. You just, you know, be enthusiastic, like, hey, I'd really love to get on set. I'm very interested in the film industry. Like, you seem awesome. I'd love to work with you one day. Like, here's my business card.
Very good. Ooh, those were very hot tips. And Rooney knows because she's worked as a background PA. And also, you've worked as second AD?
No, I haven't held like a full staff position as a background PA, but like I've helped on days that I was day playing, and the show that I was just on, I was kind of like a floater, and I would just fill in gaps that needed help. Like if it was a big background day, I'd help out with them, or if it was like a big first team day, which was like first team or the actors, I'd go help out there. So like I have the general knowledge of those positions, but I've never like fully had one. But I'm on set enough to, and like I know that I'm gonna have to have these positions at some point, so I always pay attention to like what's going on.
Yeah, it's just it's incredible. This is a side note, but it's like in commercials you can work, it's just so fast that you can work as a second AD, like boom. But TV is so compartmentalized. There's so much to learn. It's such a machine.
Yeah.
You know, you're really in a job that you get really good at, and then you might move over to another job like paperwork PA for a while. But in commercials, there's none of that. It's just like production assistant, second AD. It's just so much more simple.
Because it's usually just for the day, right? Or like a couple days.
It can be a 10-day shoot.
Okay.
It can be a 20-day shoot. It can be a 1-day shoot. It can be a 5-day shoot. You meet a lot of people in commercials because of the nature of the shoots.
Right.
1-day shoot, 2-day shoot. You can work on like 4 shoots in 1 week with a lot of different people. So you meet like 300 people. I do love commercials because it isn't such a, it's not such a machine.
Yeah.
We got to get our work done. And we get it done super cheerfully and everybody's super cheerful in commercials, because if you're working for that day. You better make your best impression, because it's only impressions. It's always the case, but especially in commercials, it's always impressions that are getting people to go, oh, I love that person. Let's hire them for this next commercial, for this next shoot. In TV, it's a machine. They got to get the work done. Once you're on it and your staff, everybody's got to have a great attitude. Otherwise, you know, they're not going to be enjoyed working with. But it's a little bit different. Commercials, they really are, everybody's really thinking about their next job. TV, you're like, well, I'm on this for, months. So I just do my job, and that's good. It's just a little bit different feeling. I love commercials. But it's not the same as TV shows. You're not creating stuff that lives on forever, do you? It's, it's commercial. So that's the drawback. Oh, by the way, yesterday I just got a job for another commercial with Damien Chazelle. So,
Nice.
that's going to be fun. It's going to be a big budget shoot, and we're working with Matthew McConaughey,
Nice.
Woody Harrelson,
Ooh.
and Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So, I know, it'll be fun. That's coming up in December. And of course, the same day, yesterday, as soon as I said, yes, I'm available to that shoot, another shoot came in, a 4-day shoot that overlaps that shoot. That's a big director, and I can't do it. They can't book yet. The other people, I think, probably could book yet, but I've got this overlap situation. And this happens.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. What you just shared with us for how to talk to background production assistants and how to work that in there. Hey, I'm a production assistant. That is very much gold. I'll share a little story with you. I was on a shoot once. It was night. It was the end of the day, and everybody's wrapping, and a background person came up to the production supervisor, really nervous, and was just like, hey, I'd really, with no resume, no nothing, hey, I'd really like to work as a production assistant. And that's all he said. And the production supervisor's like, really busy at that moment because everybody's rapping and they're handing him stuff. He's like, okay, so what have you done? And it's like, I've just worked background. Oh, okay. Oh, well, okay, dude. Well, give me your information. That's fine. And I mean, the conversation was just like that short because he didn't have anything to talk about.
Yeah.
He hadn't done anything. I mean, you need to be ready. If you're going to come up to the production supervisor, and don't be scared of these people. They're just nice people that are trying to get their job. They're just doing their job. Just be ready with your best foot forward. Like if you have the Get on Shoots method, you're going to have a resume with your business card attached to it. Hey, I was excited to meet you. I'm also a production assistant. Here's my resume. I know you're busy. I just want to give you my resume and see if sometime I could get on your list. Love to work with you at some point.
Yeah. And unfortunately, oh my God, the cats are going crazy. Unfortunately, sometimes, I've worked with some key PAs that are very much they don't want to hire new people. They have their, group of PAs and they're willing to expand a little bit only if the person has had some experience. And I've been, it's been the case a few times where we're working in New York City and we're just standing, I'm just standing on a corner, locking up pedestrian traffic, and some kid will come, this has happened. So this kid came up to me, they were with their parent, they handed me an envelope, and he was the whole spiel. He's like, hey, I'm really interested in getting into film. I just graduated from film school. Basically to me, could you hire me? And I'm just day playing on the show. I have no authority. I know the key PA. So I've got, I'll take that envelope and I'll bring it to the key PA. And I was like, hey, this kid just handed this to me on the corner. He seemed really nice and very sweet. And I've seen the key PA just rip it up and throw it in the garbage. And the harsh reality is that happens sometimes, and I've said to people, other times when people have approached me on the street, I'd be like, hey, why don't you go talk to the key PA? So then I'm not the middleman in that situation, and then the person can really sell themselves to the key PA, which is going to be the one that would hire you for a couple days, so you can get that experience and put that on your resume. But, there is the reality, and I don't mean to be the tough guy, but things like that happen,
But look at what it's the value there is looking at what works. So why does the key PA throw away a resume that was handed to him or her?
Yeah.
Why?
The guy I was working with wasn't the nicest key. I've definitely had my trouble with him in the past, and I don't typically ask him for work for myself because I don't really want to work with him again. But I don't know, either maybe he was just in a mood that day and felt like being an asshole and like making a little show out of it. Like, you know, it is show business after all.
Here's what I think.
Sure.
I'll tell you what I think. The best people will appear. That's what they think. They're like, if you're good, I'd have heard about you.
Right.
And they're like, you know, it's ridiculous to try to get onto a film crew by, you know, passing the resume through. Come on. I got to meet you in person. And if you were good, you'd be here already, or I'd be referred to you. So get your ass going, get on a bunch of sets, and then you'll show up on my radar.
Yeah, that's definitely how his attitude would have been.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, you know, that is one way. Like, I know that when I first started Friends in Film, one of the methods that we had for get on shoots was to, like, look for a shoot. Like, if you're in a major city, like, I'm close to New York City, so there's always something going on. You know, this was maybe in the before times, before COVID and it being difficult to, like...
It's called the walk-on shoot.
Walk-on shoot.
That method. We still have that method.
Sick.
I do think that you should do it, but we do it differently than that. We don't pass it to a PA on the street, and can you give it to a key
Exactly.
PA?
Yeah.
No, what we do is we walk in with our resume, with the card, with everything. It's basically what I just said. Resume, card, ready to go, confidence, shoots under your belt. That's why it's at the end of the training.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You go into the production office or you talk to the key PA, and with confidence, you're like, hey, I'm a PA too. I see that you're shooting here. I know you're busy. I want to give you my information.
Yeah. In
case you need an additional or you need a production assistant at some point. Here it is. Thank you
Sounds
so much.
A lot more confident. Like, really confident. Like, you have to have that, like, I'm good, you want me, and here's why.
Mm-hmm. And it really works. A lot of our people have a lot of examples, but a lot of our people have done that, and it really works because they get to see you. I mean, you're right there in front of them, and you got the confidence, and you're like, I got the shoots, and you're like, you know, you're smiling, you're bold, you're there. And people also, they do love to help people that have helped themselves. You know, it takes courage to do that, and people love to, like, you know, hey, you're working hard, you're hustling. I love to reward you for that. And that's a worthwhile hustle. More than, you know, I'm with my parents, I've got an envelope, here, pass it along to somebody, hey, can you get me in somehow? Oh, God.
Yeah.
This happens all the time, and we hate that.
Yeah.
You know, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
So, okay, good. Get it back to. Okay, number 3, land paid production assistant jobs on Staff Me Up and other sites when you have been on 10 plus shoots. Okay, now you don't want to go for Staff Me Up jobs, even though you might come across them when you have no experience. Wait, just wait until you've been on 10 shoots with the Get on Shoots method. Then you'll have a good resume. Then you'll know how to respond to people also, just because you've got that, you've been on the shoots. You won't be afraid. You'll be like, when's the shoot? You know, what are the days? What do you want me to do? You'd be just very more just like, give me the facts and you'll be there. You know? More matter of fact, right? So Staff Me Up can be especially good in minor markets like Detroit, like Bristol, you know, any minor market. LA, New York City, they can come up too, but they're going to be very competitive because all the film school students that don't know what to do, that's the only thing they know what to do. So they're going for those. Now, the problem for the film school students is they don't have any experience and they don't know how to do the Get and Shoots method to get the experience, some of them anyway. So they're not going to really be that big of competitors. You will do really well, though, when you've already done the Get and Shoots method, you got on 10 shoots, you come across as bright and smiley and you know what you're doing and you're already working and you just did a shoot last week. You know, all these things, recency of shoots, you know, knowing production companies, knowing people from your magic list, you know, just being able to say, you see an ad, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I know this production company, and I've worked with so-and-so in this area as well. So I'm very happy to see this ad. I'd love to work with you guys. I just worked on this and this, and you know, it's basically the want to work email. I've got good shoes. I can work in all the different departments. Stacy's got something.
I have a bunch. I was just looking at my notes that we were talking about last night, and like the want to work emails was like huge for me. Like when I was building my resume from, I think I was using Mandy.com back when it was free. I'm dating myself back here. It's like $15 a month now. Mandy.com and Craigslist worked for me. And then like I have my notebook here and I wrote like so much for the want to work emails. And I would just kind of like, the thing that I think really helped me out with that was I didn't, it wasn't the same thing every time. I kind of like molded my email around what I was seeing in the ad and just being like, oh, here it is. Like this was my notes for my want to work email because I had so many different variations of like things that I could write. And then as my verbiage was getting better, like my want to work emails were getting better and evolving. Like it's pretty crazy.
Can you read some of those to us?
Yeah, I would just write like, you know, hello, my name is blank. I'm a production assistant in the New York area. I noticed that you have a, you know, short film project, whatever they say it is, and use the name if it's there. Like, hey, you know, we're making this thing called I'm on a couch. I don't know. And I wanted to know if you'd like an extra hand on set. And then like I wrote here in between, like, I understand you might be staffed up for this shoot, but if you need anyone in the future, I'd love to help. Like, blah, blah, blah. There were some things that didn't work. Like in some of my early drafts, I'd be like, I'm a huge movie buff, blah, blah, blah. I'd be excited to be in production. Like, that wasn't really working all that well. Like they don't care what I'm into. They just want to know that I'm like good. I understand it's no or low pay, but that's fine because I'm building my experience. I'm further building my
want to work email right there.
Yeah, I'm further building my experience and like building my business. I wrote that as one of the options in that sentence.
Yeah.
I wrote, you know, this is like straight from the module. Like I know the New York / New Jersey area well. I have a good driving record and a dependable car, which I don't have anymore. I sold my car. I have good shoes. I'm always early to my commitments. I know how to dress for production work and how to behave on set. I'm a motivated, at the time I was 27. I'm a motivated 27-year-old professional seeking to build my career in film / production. I'm looking to use my on-set and in-office experience to better understand the production process and build a career out of it. I'm very punctual, reliable, orderly. I have great computer skills. And then I put like other like qualities, like good qualities that I could like interchange in the emails, like able to multitask and work quickly, very organized and great communication skills, able to work long hours and maintain sharp enthusiasm, good with paperwork, own a dependable car. And then I have like my follow-up email on the bottom. My email would not be this big, just letting you guys know. It'd be like maybe 2 or 3 of these in as short as possible sentences. I'm sure the first couple ones I sent out were really long. And like, there's no wonder why I didn't get that job. You got to hook them in from the first 2 sentences. That's it. You know?
Yeah, less is more.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's too long and you're like, I'm this, I have this, it's like, okay already.
And like, on the top of this,
yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just wrote like, only write emails when you're feeling good. Like if I'm not in a good mood, I'm not going to write a good email because I'm just in that negative mindset. And then I also wrote like change and add personality. Like every email should be different. Like you should be looking up the production company if you can, or looking up the project or seeing who's involved in it and like figuring out other things that they've been in. Because if you're actually showing an interest in the project from the get-go, that's great. Like they want people who are enthusiastic and want to work on the job. And then I have my follow-up email on the bottom.
Okay, I want to ask you about that in a second. But what she just read was a whole bunch of stuff, and she's got like this as a reference. And then she pulls from this to make a very simple email. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
That way you're composing fresh every time. And you might even add something. I mean, it's really fun to compose something good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you feel good. So yeah, you've got your good ideas there, and then you create something and you send it off to them. Yeah, and that way it feels fresh. So I recommend doing what Rooney's doing.
And also, another point that was just kind of backtracking a little bit with your resume, like another good idea is to like always email yourself your most current resume, so that if you're like on the train or if you're not at home and like, you know, you're scrolling through these job offers or like these job websites and you want to apply to one and not wait till you get home, your resume is on your phone already because you've sent it to yourself. And now like with the new Apple update, like I can get pages on my phone, and from there I can turn it into a PDF and email it. So, I mean, with technology being a lot more on our side and user friendly than before, it's definitely a big advantage. But if you're, I don't know, a little, you know, if you're not like super into tech and like can't figure out how to turn, like I just figured it out yesterday. I didn't even realize that I could do that, like turn it into a PDF from Pages, and it was because you asked me about it.
PDF on your phone we're talking about.
Yeah. But the times that I've done it in the past before realizing that I could do that was because I had usually had a previous resume sent to myself or to somebody else, you know.
And you're always going to be updating your resume.
Yeah.
With every job, you might go in and add a couple things to it. So, you know, over the years, it's going to change completely.
Yeah. I never thought that. Like, I always thought that I'd have one resume and that was going to be the resume for the rest of my life. Like, because that's what I thought it would be like. And, like, just the progression of my resumes over the last, like, 8 years. Like, it went from, you know, everything I've done, everything I've volunteered for with like bullets underneath describing like what I did and what skills that I learned from it. And then it just became like, now it's just the job I worked on, the network it's on, the months I worked on it, and who the ADs were.
Yeah.
Because they know what PAs do. I don't have to describe what PAs do. They want to know who I've worked for is the more important point now.
Yeah. Really what they want to know is, are they good? And like for me, when they contact me, they're like, send me your resume. I'm like, I work with this director, this company. I work with these big directors. I'm the main person at this company. And they're like, okay, she's good.
Yeah.
That's all they need to know. That's all they want to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Follow-up. Let's look at, or tell us about your follow-up.
I mean, again, like these are from way back in the past. Like now I do all my business through text messages. That's how I get hired. That's how I reach out to people. It's all via text. But when I was starting out and so there's two different kinds of follow-ups. There's like the follow-up of if you don't hear anything, and then there's the follow-up if you do hear something. So in the instance where you don't hear back and you're still really interested in this job and you want to show them that you're being persistent, which I think is so important in this business, is to be persistent. Like, you might feel like you're being annoying, but you have to think of it on the other end. Whereas like the people that are looking at these emails or hiring you are dealing with so much other stuff that like they get one resume email and like they might notice it and, you know, take notice of it and be like, okay, great, put this off to the side. And then like in an hour they forget about it because they're dealing with all of their pre-production stuff. So like the way that, these are my old follow-up emails, but like,
well, we're talking about building a base, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you're starting off, this is what you do.
I would just be like, hello, my name, like Rooney here. I emailed you a few days ago about your shoot happening on this date. I understand that you may already be crewed up, but if you need an extra hand on set, I'd love to help out. In the office, makeup, wardrobe, camera, whatever you need. Hope to hear from you. Thank you. First name, last name, cell phone number. You know, and they already have your email. And like you
kind of reiterating the want to work email, maybe saying things a little bit differently.
Yeah.
nudging them a little bit. Just think of a nudging.
Yeah. Or like now I'm thinking about it and be like, instead of saying I understand you might already be crewed up, you can say something like, I understand that you might be super busy with this, with, you know, pre-production and this project that you're working on. Like, I'd love to come in and lend you a hand in any way that I can help. Like, I can help you in the office. If you need a PA on set, like, I'm willing to do, you know, not I'm willing to do anything, but like, you know, just sell yourself without sounding desperate.
Yeah,
Is
I'd
basically
love to
like,
is fine.
yeah.
We don't say. I love how Rooney caught herself with I'm willing to. That many times people say those words. I'm like, you don't want to say that.
No. Yeah,
I'm willing to. Of course you're willing to. It's your job. Of course you're willing. It's like, okay, thank you very much for doing that. Yeah, we don't use I'm willing to. I'd love to. I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
I'd be excited to.
Yeah, that's like you'll and like I mean obviously I'll like proofread my emails, and like again, this is great when you're like feeling good and confident, because you'll be able to use those words. Like, I know how I talk to myself when I'm in my lower self and when I'm in my higher self. When I'm in my lower self, I'll use like melancholy words, and it's so weird, but like it's true for me, at least. Like, I'm sure, you know, that's just my experience with it. But yeah, you like, I always that's like something I'll always say in my head. I was like, how do I get what I want without sounding desperate? Like, I need this job. Like, I'm willing to do anything. Like, that's too extreme on that end. Oh, we have a package. Yay.
Yay.
But yeah, I always say that in my head, even when I'm, oh yeah. Sorry. Even now when I'm writing text to people, I'm like, how do I say what I want without sounding desperate?
Yeah. Well, and how do you do it?
Thank you. I'll usually say, like, I'm trying to think, because it usually just comes in the moment, but that's like a mantra that I'll repeat in my head, but it's, you know, like, I can't even think of it. I can like look for it. Oh, my phone's recording. I was like, I'll look for a text message that I've sent. I always do that, you know, your phone's like something.
Yeah, it's in your back pocket. Where's my phone? Well, what I would do is it's really just a state thing, you know. It's a focus thing, I believe, you know. Desperate, without being desperate, how does that make you feel? Even the word desperate makes you feel like maybe unsettled. So how can I just be excited about this?
Yeah.
That'll put you in the right state of mind. You know, so excited about this.
Yeah, I try and like compact my excitement too, because like sometimes being overly excited is a little over the top. You gotta just find that right balance, and it's gonna be different for everybody. It's gonna look different from everybody. Like, I know it looks different, you know, me to the next person, and that's like where you get to like show your personality a little bit, because you're just trying to stay neutral. You're just trying to stay at your best self, which I think is like, you know, it took me some time to realize that, because at first I'd be like exclamation points, and I know you're always like, use one exclamation point in your email, and I still remember that. Like, I still use that all the time, and sometimes when I send one without an exclamation point, I'm like, I've done it.
Or happy faces are good too.
Yeah. But then when you like, these are just tips for the beginning, you know. When you start getting the ball rolling, like, everything will look so different, because you're so much more confident, and like, you know, you're in your seat, you know, like, you're in the driver's seat basically, and you have to just be like, you want me, and I'm good, and here I'm gonna tell you why you want to hire me. Like, it's that confidence of like, you know, again, like what I was saying yesterday, there's a difference between like confidence and cockiness. So it's good to just be like, you need me, but I also need you. I'd like to do this job. Let's be friends.
Ooh, see, that's a state. That's a state that she's creating from. Very good. Ooh, I love that. Okay. That's going in the training. just these little things. It's just like these little, oh, everybody gets, oh, light switch. Oh, got it. Okay.
And you like, again, like you'll find your way. Like it's always great to get inspiration from like, you know, people who have more me. I'm great. No, but it's like then you'll just find your own way through all of this. But it's a good start. You know, if you don't know where to start, just have this as like some sort of baseline.
Oh yeah, I mean, just coming to a call like this, oh my gosh, you get even more than you think you're getting right now. Like you calm down, you know how to come across, you see somebody that's got years of experience. I mean, you get so much from this. I mean, you really can right now, I believe a lot of you guys can compose your own emails just fine right now, just from understanding this. It comes from understanding that you compose everything.
Yeah.
And then we have, little reminders of little things you may want to say that grab them, go, oh, get a factor. Oh, they understand what I need. Oh, it's great that they're saying these things because that's exactly what I need. How do they know that? Got to hire that person. Okay, thank you. That was very good. So follow-up emails is just kind of nudging them a little bit and just maybe reiterating a couple things. I'm available on those days. If you need me, I can do these jobs. Love to work with you. Happy face. And another thing, every subject is its own paragraph.
Yeah.
Please don't lump it all together.
Yeah. I think it's so nice and clean if it's just like one, maybe like 2 to 3 sentences in each line and then just like skip and then create like a whole new. And like I think 3 of those like work really nicely. That's like enough space to, you get a couple sentences, but you're not like overly wordy, which is just like it's a lot to read.
Yeah, so you're saying 3 paragraphs.
I think 3 is good. If it's 4 or 5, like that's fine, but make sure you're breaking it up into like 2 to 3 sentence little paragraphs. Like, hey, I noticed you have a shoot. Like, I'd love to help you out on set. Next bracket. Like, I understand, or like, here's the experience that I have, blah, blah, blah. Like, I understand it's no pay, but like, I'm willing to work for free just because I'm building my resume. Hope to hear from you. Blah, blah, blah. That's 3, little bracket paragraphs that are nice and like concise, and your message is out there without, it's just the meat. It's no bread or, condiments or fillers, tomato, lettuce. It's just the meat.
Yes. Okay, good. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. So, yes, you can use Staff Me Up, Mandy, Production Hub to find paid jobs, but wait until you've been on at least 10 shoots so that you actually make a good impression on these people. Because remember, these are real production people that don't know anybody in that area that are looking for somebody, and you're going right in front of them. So you better look good. Otherwise, you're burning that opportunity. So that's why I say wait until you've been on 10, 20 shoots and you've got a great resume and you've got that get it factor. These will always be there. Opportunities film shoots are going to be there forever, for the long past you and I are even alive. Yeah. They're just always going to be there. So you can wait maybe a month or 2 until you have enough shoots and then go after these things. Okay? All right. Now, this is a big one for Rooney. Work on major union shows to expand your connections and craft. Every single day, every single shoot, you're learning, you're meeting people in all these different departments.
Yep.
You're really paying attention to the department that you want to do and learning all of the little things and writing down notes, asking intelligent questions,
mm-hmm.
or good questions that show that you're paying attention.
Yeah.
Okay? Think of it more like that. Okay? Questions that show that you're paying attention and you're curious and you want to learn the inner workings of things.
Yeah.
Now, as you work, you're going to get people referring you to other shows. and other opportunities and other day playing opportunities. You're gonna be good, and people are gonna be like, oh yeah, they're good, and they will put you in their phones, and they will refer you. And you might refer them work, and then they will refer you work.
Yeah.
It will grow like crazy, guys.
And that's where like your magic list can start to really like, you know, you might have some like huge names on your magic list when you first start out, and that's great. That gives you the drive to move forward. But then as your magic list becomes more finite of like actually people who can get you work, that's great. Like when I first started out, I was getting like everybody's number on set. Like if they were a PA who I knew had been far more advanced than I was at the time that I was starting, I would get their numbers, because it's not just the key PA that can hire you. Like PAs give names to the key PA. Like I've learned that as I've gone on in this business, is like, you know, it's not just the key PA, like other PAs can recommend you for positions as well. So, you know, once I realized that, I stopped just being like on the key PA, because, you know, the background PA might be the key on the next job that they go to. Like I was so, like I wasn't paying attention to the bigger picture when I first started, because I just had that like singular vision of like get work, and not like, whoa, what's going on here? Like what's going on in the whole thing? But so when I first started and I got on like a big union show for a few days, I got the key PA's number, and then that's when I worked in an office, so I wasn't really on set, but I had his number, and I would just text him like once or twice a month, being like, hey, it's me again, like, you know, the first couple times I'd be like, hey, it's me, like I did an additional day, you know, back in December on whatever show, and I'm looking for work, and I'm wondering if you have anything. And like you keep just kind of, again, like with the emails, like they're busy, like especially if they've gone on to another job, like they're busy, they're working every day for 12 hours a day minimum. So if you just keep kind of keep yourself on their radar, and then if you're not finding anything from that person, like then you ask them like, hey, do you know anybody else who's working right now that you wouldn't mind passing their number along to me? Like it's better.
Let me just say something really quick to that one, because you're like, if you're not finding anything from that person, that means that person's not working. Okay, that they're going to respond back, I'm not working, and that's when you ask.
Yeah,
it's not like you keep like you're asking people that are like working and they're not hiring you, hey, do you know anybody else? Well, that's probably not gonna be.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So they're like, oh man, I'd love to work with you, but don't have anything going on right now. And that's when you'd ask them, hey, is there anybody else that you know that's working that might be able to work with?
Yeah. And it's always better to try and get that person's number rather than having that person be like, oh, I'll just pass your number along, because you don't know what's going to happen on that back end. It's better to get the information yourself. You know, and whenever I've been on the other side of that as the person that's like, people are sending me these texts, like I will, if I'm passing somebody else's number, I'll always like give a text to that other person, be like, hey, I just sent your number to this person, they're they're looking for work. And then like it's up to the other person to send the text message, because like I can only help somebody so far. I want somebody to like dig to get their own work and put in that effort. Like I'm not just gonna do it for you. Like the middleman isn't gonna do anything. Yeah, if that makes sense.
And that's very nice that you text somebody saying, hey, by the way, I just gave your number to the so-and-so, they're looking for work.
Yeah.
Hope it works out.
Yeah, I'm also like a very, like now that I'm in a position where I can suggest people to hire, like I'll always get like good PAs who work hard, who I can see that they're working hard, like I'll get their number, because when I'm keying, I'm going to hire those people who I know are good workers. Like those are the people who I'm going to bring on, or those are the people that I'm going to recommend to a key PA, because they don't know people in my circle. That's why like the key will ask other PAs of like, hey, do you know anybody good who can work this day? You know, or something along those lines.
Yeah. So don't feel like, oh man, I'm bugging people. When you're good, they want to know about you.
Yeah.
They want you. you're very valuable to them.
And
so.
that also proves the point of like, just work hard every day that you work, because you never know who you're going to impress. Like, you know, here I am being maybe like the first team PA or the background PA, or I might even be an additional because I'm in between jobs. But if I see somebody who's like pushing hard and doing really well, like, I'll take their number, because I'm going to use them when I'm the key and I need to hire people. So that's.
And then, how do you get numbers then? How do you ask for numbers? Because, I mean, that might be, people might be like, well, how do I ask a key PA for numbers of other key PAs?
I mean, think of it as just like a business transaction. If you know that you've done a good job, then like, they'd be happy to pass your number along, or pass, you know, somebody else's number along, or, you know, it could work both ways, where they're like, oh, hey, I'll text this person and see if they, or like, I'll give you this person's number. But like, I know that this is difficult it was difficult for me when I first started, just to be like, again, to have that confidence that I was good enough to be asking these sorts of things. And like, these people are people, they're people too. Key PAs are people too. Like, they're just a little bit like, you know, more advanced than you are when you started out, but they know where you've been because they started out at one point too. And that's why I'm like very empathetic when like I see good PAs, or I see them like asking for numbers. Like, I want to help out, because I remember what it was like when I was first starting out, and like, it wasn't easy until I found somebody that wanted to do the same and like helped me out, you know? Like, I found one key PA who like always hired me as an additional. She put in my name to interview, and that was my first staff job, you know? So like, you'll find that person that's going to want to help you and like take you under their wing. I remember this was like something in an early module too, where like, you'll find that mentor, like you'll find that person on set that you can like look up to and rely on and learn from, and ask these questions that you might think are crazy or stupid or obvious, you know, things like that. And you just got to keep looking for that person. So get as many numbers as you can and be persistent. Like, it's not annoying, just be persistent. Like, don't text them every day, but, you know, maybe once or twice a month, because that could be the gap between a job.
Yeah. Now, just to clarify, a lot of this is happening when you're working on set. That's when you're having these conversations, you know, because you're already working together, so you have a good working relationship. And that's when you should be saying, hey, do you have anything coming up? Okay, yep. that would be working with that same person. Or do you know any other good key production assistants or second ADs that I can reach out to? Oh, yeah, let me think about it. Yeah, I know some people. Okay, great. Can you give me their numbers?
I have a story along the lines of like doing things in person too. So one of the key PAs, this was like after that prop PA job, he was the key on that. I had his number because of the one day that I worked on set. And then I kept doing that. Like, I did this. I would like text him like once or twice a month. And so that job ended in April. I would text him once or twice a month. And then by like September, he was able to give me another day on a job because he was on a job. And I just texted him like possibly at the right time. So he was like, that was when I ended up working on Broad City, which was just like so serendipitous, because that was like one of the shows that I've always wanted to work on. And I remember he called me on the phone and he was like, hey, so I'm actually in this project and we have these big couple days, like we have like a huge month coming up. It's a lot in New York City. Like, are you comfortable doing lockups? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah. Like, awesome. Like, that was when I was already like, I was in Friends and Film, and like I was in there for almost a year already. So I was like gaining all that confidence and like doing a lot of work and, you know, planning. And so he was like, are you available this day? So he just brought me on for one day. And I feel like when a key brings you on for one day, that's kind of like an audition in a way. If you nail it, if you do good on that day, then they'll hire you. they'll continue to hire you because they're not going to put you on for a whole week and you come on one day and you have no idea what you're doing and you're not experienced, and they kind of shot themselves in the foot there. Like if it's huge days and they don't have the availability to like teach you how to work. So he brought me on for one day, and then towards the end of the day, I went up to him and I was like, thank you so much for bringing me on to this show. Like, and I got a little gushy and I was like, this show is like one of the shows that I've been wanting to work on since I started to realize that I wanted to get into film. And I was like, it was great working for you. I was wondering if you had any days for me for the rest of this week. I'm available. He like whipped out his calendar and he was like, oh, I actually need somebody for the next 3 weeks. Are you available? And I was like, yes. And like, that was it. Like I booked 3 weeks out. That was like my first time booking so many PA gigs in a row. And then like, that's when I really started to like learn a lot of stuff. Like that was it. And then the more enthusiastic I was, they'd be like, okay, can you help out with background this day? And I was the person that was like helping background do the vouchers. And I was like sitting and holding, like watching them and like learning how to bring them to set and things like that. And like, if you're good, if you're paying attention, you'll get these different opportunities. But like, it's because I pushed him for like 3 or 4 months to get me on a job. And then at the end of the day, I asked him like, what? I'd love to work with you again. Like, do you have anything else for the rest of this month? I'm available. Boom.
Very good story. When you were trying to get on his radar and get on these sets, had you met him in person at that point or just gotten his name?
I met him because before I got the job in the prop office, I PA'd on that show for a day, and he was the key on that show. But I remember we I guess he remembered who I was because I was in the office, so I'd go down to the stage every now and then and like run these prop errands. And I remember like talking to him a bit at the wrap party. And yeah, I was just like, you know what? He's the only key PA I know in New York right now. So he's the person that I'm going to bother. And then like from him, like a bit later on in the summer after I worked those 3 weeks, he was like, hey, like, I don't really have much. We're going to be on the stage, so we need like a lot less people. Jesus, we have a lot of packages coming. They needed a lot less people, but I, again, like persisted. I'll be like, hey, do you know anybody else who's working right now that might need help? And he gave me the number for another key. And so I'd be like, to that key, I'd be like, hey, I got your number from so-and-so. I just worked on Broad City with them. And I was wondering if you needed, if you had any big days coming up and you needed additionals. And there it is. Like, I name dropped the other person, the show that I was working on, and just that quick, I'm available if you have big days and need additionals. And that's it. And then I got on that. Can't remember what that was. Maybe it was Madam Secretary or something. And then I get numbers from there. And then that's how you network. That's how you keep going. And then by that time I was like, I don't just need the key PA's number. I need everybody's number. And you find that I don't know, on big union shoots, we text a lot to each other. Just, it's good to have people's numbers. So if you need something and you're maybe not in radio range, you can actually give them a call or text them. And so
why do you say you need everybody's number? We're all wondering.
Because I find that this, you might need something from somebody and you're not in radio range. So it's just easier to be like, oh, hey, I know that we're working together today or we're near each other today. Can I get your number just in case I need anything? And it's not just you need anything in the future. I'm literally meaning this day. Do I need, can we help each other out during the day? And then that's there's so many different ways that you can ask people for their numbers without realizing that you're trying to get something out of them in the future. It's basically the point.
Well, in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, I should know you for the future.
Yeah.
We should be in contact for the future. But
yeah.
Right now, you need their information to have for the day. In case
yeah.
You need to
but there's nothing wrong with saying hey, I'd love to, it was great working with you. I'd love to have your, can we exchange numbers?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So when you said everybody, it's mostly other production assistants And then sometimes some people that you want to know from the production, like maybe, you know, the sound mixer, a second AC.
Yeah. And if
anybody that you meet that you resonate with, that you talk to.
Totally. Or another good way to do that is to like take a look at, you know, figure out who they are on the call sheet, and then you can maybe like look them up on Facebook or Instagram or something, because that's another way to connect, and that way they'll remember your face and what you look like, and they'll be like, oh yeah, like they might not remember your name, but they see your face on like your Facebook page or your Instagram, and they're like, oh yeah, I remember this person, like, oh yeah, we had that good conversation about blah blah blah. And then like that's another way that you can, you know, connect with people through like their social media sites.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, your connections are going to grow so fast.
So fast.
I mean, with every set, you're just meeting so many people. You're adding them on Facebook, you're talking to them, you're exchanging information, you know, numbers. It's just like, since it is such a word of mouth business, it's just normal. It's what you're supposed to do.
Totally.
So,
exactly. Yeah. It's all like who you know, who knows you.
Yeah.
Who can you get to know?
Yeah.
Who you know, who they know.
Yeah, that's true too. Hey, you know, you want to get into a certain sector, you know, somebody does a lot of travel stuff. Hey, what you been up to lately? Oh, I've been working on some really cool travel stuff. Oh, wow, which production company? Oh, who produces that? Oh, wow, where'd you go? They have anything coming up next? Oh, that's interesting. Why are you on that? You ask questions, you find this out. You're like, oh, I'm going to write that down because I'd love to. It's my dream to work in the Amazon. That'd be amazing. Then they're like, oh, wow, well, I'll keep you in mind if I can refer you work, you know, because they might get booked on something else. And then they get a call. They can't do it. They know you want to do travel jobs. Then they refer you. Oh, my God, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Peers. You know, it's not just that you're getting work from people that hire you, like production managers or key PAs or second ADs, or it's just not always hiring. It's a lot of referrals too, people passing your name around.
Oh yeah, big time. And that's if you do a good job. So that's why like you need to show up to work every day. Like leave all your problems at home. Nobody at work wants to hear that. Just come in, you know, knock the day out of the park and do what you can, like get those numbers. I think this has to do with kind of this base also, because this was like when I was building my resume also, like before I got on union sets, and I found a job on Craigslist. They were looking for a first AC, which like, you know, you just have to like pull the focus, which I had done before on like another shoot that I found on Mandy, I think, and I was doing you know, I was just their PA, but there was one time where they needed somebody to like rack focus from the camera. So like I had kind of had like that sort of experience with like learning how to pull focus. So I saw on Craigslist, this company was looking for a first AC, first assistant camera, which is the person who like pulls the focus. And it was like a 2-day shoot over a weekend. And so the Craigslist ad had a number. They had an email and a number. And I emailed them and I like didn't hear back, and I knew it was that weekend. So I gave them a call. Like I called them right off the Craigslist page, which I like such a bold move for me, because I used to be like kind of shy like when it came to things like that. So I gave him a call and he was like, "Oh yeah, like we actually just filled that position," because that one was paid. It was like $150 for the weekend, which like isn't a lot, but that's enough, you know, enough to like for side hustle. So I you know, he was like, "Oh yeah, we just filled that position already, but it's so nice that you called. Like that was really nice of you, blah blah blah." And I was like, "But like, do you need any extra help on set? I'll work for free. Like I just want to figure out something to do this weekend where I can learn and like, you know, build my set experience." He was like, "Oh yeah, I think we could definitely use an extra person on set." And like, oh boy, did I knock it out of the park that weekend. I had like my all-star backpack. I had like anything that they needed, I somehow had. And then like they also had me like second AC, which is just like doing the clapper, you know, whatever you want to call it, the slate. Yeah. Slate, clapper, you know, that thing. But yeah, that was a great weekend, and I ended up like talking to the sound mixer the most. He was like mixing sound and booming, which is just like a wild thing to do. And we then like kept in touch after, and he was like, hey, I got this like week-long gig. I need a boom operator. It's $1,600 for the week. Do you want to come be my boom op? And I was like, absolutely. And I knew just the very basics of booming, and it was tough. Like that was really tough for me to like, because I wasn't used to it, and I'm short, so like I gotta go like full arms up, you know. I know some boom ops that are really tall and they can like keep it in, but like I'm not a tall person. But I got paid on that job. Like that was awesome. That was like probably like the most money I've made in like a 1 week span. And you know, I didn't get much else out because I knew that I didn't want to go in the sound direction. So he would like kind of ask me, and I'd be like, oh, I'm actually working on the, you know, like I'm working on these union sets. But the funny like small world thing about that boom job that I did, the director of that, I then saw on one of my union sets when I was working on Pose. She like came in and was like hanging out with the director that day, and she remembered me. And it was just that small world of like, that was like in a small indie like little web series shoot. I was kind of like a middle tier web series shoot, and then I'm on this huge Ryan Murphy set, and she's there, and we just had like a moment. Like I love like, and that's just showed like the film industry is so small, even in like New York City where you'd think it'd be huge, but like everybody knows everybody, like, or at least knows somebody that knows that person. Like the New York industry is just one of those small, I have those small world moments all the time.
Yeah. And what was she doing on that other shoot?
I think she just knew the director and was hanging out.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so sound familiar? She did the get on shoots method. She found any indication of a shoot happening. They're looking for a second AC. She's like, oh, I can do that. Phone number, I'm just going to call them. She calls them instead of emailing them. And, oh, we just booked the job. But she's like, oh, can I help you out in any other way? I could be a production assistant. I'm just looking to build my experience. They're like, okay, sounds good. Sounds like a great attitude. Great that she called me. That's impressive.
And I don't have to pay them.
Don't have to pay them. She's willing to volunteer. Okay, cool. She goes. She knocks it out of the park. Meets somebody that's like, hey, you got a great attitude. Yeah. You work hard. I like the way you work. You want to work with me? $1,600 for the week. Pulls her in. That's a professional job.
But it's also because I got everybody's number too. In that weekend shoot I did, I got everybody's number, and I stayed in touch with the sound guy because like we just got along really well. And then he offered me that job, and I was like, sick.
So that came up later?
Yeah, it came up like 2 months later.
Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah.
It wasn't immediate, like, and I guess like, you know, maybe we had exchanged text back and forth a little bit, like after the initial shoot, and then like this shoot came up, and he just was like, yeah, he offered me the job. I guess maybe some other people he knew might not have been available or this or that, but you know, he knew that I didn't really know how to do the job, but he was very gentle and was like, I'll teach you as we go. Like you'll be great. Like I know you can do this.
Yeah. And that will happen on lower budget shoots that the rate is way below scale, and regular real boom operators aren't going to want to work for that.
Right.
So he knows he needs to have a really great attitude, hardworking person that will work for that rate and be happy about it. And when she stayed in touch with him, he's like, oh yeah, hey, I got this shoot. Yeah, I'd like to work with you. Yeah. You were awesome.
It's funny too, because I didn't know how to not be a PA at that point. I had done like a lot of like low to no budget, like just this run around PA that like has everything to, so like I would do PA tasks, but they'd be like, you don't have to do this, like you're the boom operator, you're not a production assistant. I'd be like, okay, right, but I just had like, that was how my mind was.
Oh, it's just adorable.
Yeah, good times.
And it certainly is nice. I know that some of you guys have done production assistant work, and then you worked in a craft and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have to do that right now.
Yeah.
And it's a nice feeling. You're like, I just focus on this thing right now. That's what I'm supposed to do. I got to do my job. Because believe me, there's a lot of details that you need to be thinking about to do that job. Okay, that's awesome. So when Rooney gets all these numbers, she's like, hey, you want to exchange information? You want to exchange information? And everybody's like, yeah. One of the best ways to do it is have your virtual card on your phone and airdrop it to them or message it to them, and then they'll send you theirs.
Totally.
Great. This is a wonderful discussion. Okay, so you may be referred or you may interview for a position as well. So when are the situations, so we've really talked a lot about referral.
Yeah.
You know, it's really just doing a good job. Oh, one more thing before we move on to the interview part. Notice how Rooney is not contacting people cold. She really built this whole thing from people. It's all warm. It's all people that she's worked with or that Rooney was referred to. So it's all warm. Not contacting people cold.
Just the one from Craigslist, but they kind of open that
that's
up.
Get on Shoot's method. Yeah, that's Get on Shoot's method.
Yeah. Not
Get on Shoot's method, you're contacting people cold because they're like, oh, we got a shoot happening.
Totally.
We need bodies. We need people to help us out. But after that, when you're on these sets, it's all warm. So, and it happens in two ways. When you're working with them, they remember you, you're doing great, you're saving their ass. That's a great time to ask them what they have coming up. So you get their phone number. TV call sheets don't have phone numbers on them. Commercial call sheets have them, so you will always have the number. But TV and feature film don't always have those on. That's why you have to ask for their number. So when you're hot, when you're working with them, obviously you ask for their number. Number two thing that you do is you ask them if they have anything coming up in the future so that you can get additional days. And sometimes you're like, well, wouldn't they just ask you? Sometimes they're not thinking about it. They're just not thinking about the job they have coming up in a month. They're like focusing on this job. But when you jog their memory on it, then they're like, oh yeah, I actually have something coming up. And then boom, you're on it and it's done. And they're happy because now they have a good person on it. And you're happy because now you got work penciled in. Okay? Then the other thing that you can do is when you're working with people, you can ask them other people that they know. So, when you're asking, hey, you have anything coming up? Oh, and I don't have anything coming up. Or whether they do or they don't, you can still ask them, hey, I'm growing my business. Do you know other key PAs that I might want to reach out to? Perfect way to say it, right?
And you can guarantee that they'll know people. Like, the key PAs know the other key PAs. Like how I know so many PAs right now that are like keying, doing other positions, working on different jobs. Like, you can guarantee that a key PA will know other PAs and have that confidence of like, hey, do you know anybody who's working right now that's looking for additional PAs? Like, I'd love to help out. I'm available. That's the biggest thing. They just want to know that you're available. Like, if you just present your availability and you've already done a good job, then like that's a shoot, you will get work. You will get work.
So simple. It's so simple. And other key PAs know other key PAs. I was trying to make this point while you're talking. Other key PAs know other key PAs because they refer work to each other.
Yeah. They refer work. They refer people. Like,
situation happening here.
That's how I get all of my jobs now, is because like the key PA has either like a job has come to them because they know more ADs than I do. Like, a job has come to them, they don't want to take it, they pass it. They're like, oh, hey, but I know this other great PA that's looking for a job, like, pass my number. And then I get the text from the ADs. So that's the next level.
Very, very good. Yeah, we can see it. It's simple, right, guys? Simple. Then, so that happens on set. Then the other thing that happens is now you got people's numbers that they haven't worked with you. They're somewhat cold because they don't know you. They don't know how you work. However, you've got a big advantage, don't you? It's not really cold because you got somebody that referred you. You can use their name.
Big
oh
deal.
yeah, so and so gave me your number. Working with them on this shoot. Just wanted to get on your list. Thought I'd reach out to see if you need anybody for the next week. I'm actually available next week.
Mm-hmm.
In a text, short and sweet. Text is good. They
Text
get it
is
right
great.
away. You catch them in the moment. They're like, oh, okay, great. Now they might not respond because they're really busy and something's happening right at the moment, right on set.
Totally.
They might not respond. And that's why you might want to reach out to them again in 2 weeks, in a month,
Yep.
in 2 months.
Totally.
You're going to be building so many people's names all the time and numbers all the time. And you have them on your magic list. Then you reach out to them randomly. And definitely, when you refer to somebody, you write down who referred you so that you can keep using that name. Hey, I don't know if you remember, but so-and-so referred me to you. Do you have anything coming up? I'm available next week. Happy face. Anything to add to that? What do your texts say? Something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines. Or you can also, yeah, that's basically it. Like, hey, I got your number from this person. I was just working with them on this project. I heard you were working right now, and I was wondering if you had, any big days coming up that you need additionals for. I'd love to help out. I'm available. I think I'm available is so important. Like,
and then one last element might be, you might say, I just got off of this other shoot.
Yeah,
So,
I worked with so and so on that. Like, I got your number from this person. I was just working with them on this.
Yeah, depends on how long it's been since.
True. Yeah.
If it's just right away, then yeah, of course. But if it's been 3 months and you texted them and they didn't respond, and now you're texting them again, now you might want to bring up a more recent thing that you worked on.
Totally. Yeah, I was just on this. It finished up, and I was wondering if you had anything for me.
So good.
Yeah. And then if they're like, no, I'm sorry, I don't have anything right now, I'd be like, okay, do you know somebody else who's working that could get me work?
Yeah, and you do say that, right?
Yeah, I've said it before.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Look, when you're a production assistant, you're growing your connections. You're supposed to be hustling for work.
Yeah.
If you're not, then it's like you're not going to work very much.
It's not going to come for you.
You're not doing what you should do. If you're confident, you're going to be looking for work.
Yeah. And also, just to riff off of that, I remember when I was in between jobs and I was like struggling, I remember we like had a whole call about that too. Cause I was just like, I only knew like 3 keys numbers. I wasn't finding anything from that. And, that's when I started to realize that I can text other PAs for work that I've met. So I think it was like, I can't remember the sequence of things of like, I can't remember how my life has gone.
I know. It's hard to remember the past.
I had to like look at my resume.
Like, oh my God, things are so bad. And it just seems like it's never going to change. And then all of a sudden you're like, bing, idea. Let me text some other people that I've worked with too. Because I remember this call, and it's so great that you bring this up right now.
I think that was like, was that right before I got on Mr. Robot or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was like you had a major breakthrough. It was like, we had a call, you guys, and this was a while back. But and Rooney's like, oh man, I'm really down right now. It's been a really long dry spell. Nothing's really happening. I don't really know. And from that call, Rooney's like, oh, I'm going to start. It's been a dry spell because I haven't really been doing that much. Let me just reach out to a bunch of people. And when Rooney did that, then she's like, oh yeah, you're available this week, you're available that week. And all of a sudden the whole schedule's filled up.
I think that's when I also started like, that's when I started reaching out to people that might have started branching off into like other departments. Like I had a friend who was in locations that I know had been working for, I would say like 2 years more than I had been at that point. And so I texted them and I was like, hey, like, I'm desperate for, like, I've had we're friends, so I can say, like, I would never say I'm desperate for work to, like, somebody that was trying to hire me, but I was like, hey, like, I'm really struggling right now to find work. Like, I was wondering if you could give me do you have, like, keys, do you have somebody's number who's working right now that I can try and connect with? Yeah. And then I think...
And then what happened?
I think that was okay. I'm starting to like get my memory back. That was when I was on FBI, and the person who was hiring me on FBI left for another show.
Oh,
And I think it was the time between when she left and when she asked me to when the interview was for Pose. I think it was like in between that time. But my stories are all messed up. The location person helped me find that PA that helped me get my interview. But in between, I think that's when I realized that I could text other PAs. So I texted a girl that I had become friendly with on FBI, which was the show that I couldn't get work anymore because that was that asshole key PA that I didn't want to work for anymore. That like threw the kids thing in the garbage. Like how could anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
envelope in the garbage.
Yeah, and then he like guaranteed me work and then like never answered my text or hired me. And I was like, because he wanted to bring in his own crew of people because I was the crew from the last key PA, so he was kind of like taking all those people out and bringing in his own people. And so I was texting.
Guys, this is TV world. Don't be like, oh, holy shit, this is the film industry. Like it sounds so cutthroat. Yeah, this is just TV world. It can be like this, but
yeah, but the good thing about
commercials.
TV is that there are so many things going on at once. Like just because I wasn't getting on one show, I just didn't have anybody else's number. Like this is still, I had just maybe a year under my belt of like union work. And so I texted somebody that was the same as me. She was an additional PA on FBI, but she had a few more years of experience than I did. So I like texted her, and I didn't know that I could do that. I didn't know that I could text other PAs that were like additionals or anything like that. And she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm actually like going to Mr. Robot soon. Like, I'll definitely put your name in. We'll see if we can get you on." And I started from their first day, and I worked on that show for a month. And like during that time, I had an interview, and then I started a staff position.
She got you on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, that was like long-winded.
Okay, no, it's perfect. Are you kidding me? Fantastic. So in the TV world, there's staff production assistants who are on that show for the duration. They're staff. Like they show up every day and they've got certain jobs and they do those jobs. They're staff. And they were probably interviewed or referred or whatever, came from the last season or whatever, but they're there. Then there's additional production assistants that come in to day play. And if you're working on your acting career, you may not want to take a staff job where you're there for the next 4 months. Yeah. You may want to only work as additional production assistants where you come in and you fill in and you fill in, you come in here. And so you have a lot of connections if you're additional production assistant because you need a lot of connections. And you're always growing your connections so fast because you're working as additional. So you work with this group of people. And then a couple days later, you work with a whole nother group of people because they're hiring you for days at a time.
Yeah.
And that gives you flexibility. You can turn down work if you're additional PA because you're like, hey, I got an audition that day or whatever.
It's great if you have like a very busy schedule of like auditions or other commitments and stuff. Like day playing that's what we call it in TV union world. I don't know if it's the same. But yeah, that's like such a great way to like get experience, but also like be able to do your passion if it's acting or if you're really trying to like work in the indie world as a DP or like a camera operator or something. Like day playing is great because you get your name in there, you get industry experience, like union experience where you can see the camera people and how they work on that level, on that scale, and you can go and ask questions. It's basically like you're getting experience, but you can also use that experience to like excel yourself. And that's why day playing is so great because you have that flexibility of like, somebody is be like, hey, can you work this day, this day, this day, and this day? And you're like, oh, I can only work this day and this day because you have other things to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're not gonna be offended that you can only take 2 out of their 4 or 5 days. Like they'll find somebody else.
Yeah, great point. So this is a really good point. People that do additional production assistant work, they have a lot of connections. So they're very good people to connect with because they have so many connections because they're working all over the place. Okay, so that's one point. The other point is if you want to get into a craft, You can work as a staff production assistant if you want to. If you choose to, for 4 months, block it off and work with those same people for 4 months, you can do that. You'll get to know people really in depth.
Yeah.
But if you know that you want to get into sound, or your main thing is acting, or you really want to get into camera, you'd be better off to pepper in there or to focus on and only take additional production assistant jobs and work that, so that you meet so many more people. And you're also able to work as a production assistant on those TV shows, and then you got the name of those TV shows under your belt. That's very impressive. And then you also go out there and you work doing that job on these no and low budget shoots so that you get experience. And that's actually body of work. Oops, what the heck?
Hey, it's like musical chairs.
Woohoo! Yeah, so you work as additional PA, building your base, and then you go out there and you work on no and low budget shoots doing that job, non-union stuff, doing the acting, doing the camera work, doing the art department, doing sound. And you have a big advantage because you're working on major shows as a production assistant. That's very impressive to people that want to hire you as a sound mixer, as a camera DP or a Steadicam. You're doing both and you're hustling, and it just looks really good. Okay. And then just to take the thought all the way through, you're creating your base, you're getting experience doing your actual job, and then you got the big base of people that know you and love you that will hire you to do that job full time once you get enough experience doing that job. See, if you only work as a staff production assistant, and Stacy's the exception because she's working to become an AD, and you have to do all these production assistant days in order to qualify to be an AD. That's the path.
I can show you my packet of my call sheets. It's like kind of ridiculous.
And thick, right?
Yeah, it's like
it's thick, and that's what she's printed out. The rest are in your phone, and they're just like through the roof. So.
I always like this. This is something I thankfully learned like pretty early on, and I think I only need to recover maybe like 2 weeks of PA work. Was that I learned that if I wanted to submit my book to the DGA to be an AD, that I need printout copies of all the call sheets. And somebody told me that pretty early on, and I was like, I didn't know I had to do that. And so from that day, I started saving all of my call sheets. Even if I didn't want to be an AD at that time, I figured like, let me just do this as a fail-safe. Like if I fail at everything else, or like, you know, like that's just the mentality I had at the time. But now I'm like so grateful that I kept all those, because like I'm like halfway to, you know, setting my book in. So
yeah.
And I don't have to like backtrack, look for all the call sheets, print them all out. Like I take a call sheet every day. And even if, because now some sets are working on being paperless. So I'll like, that's my thing. I'll do it either the day before I'll do it when I get the call sheet. I'll print it out. Just have it ready.
Practice to print it out. That's one of the things that I've said, and it's in the training, that save your call sheets and save your paycheck stubs together, have them together, print it out. It will serve you.
Yep.
Now,
I have all that.
Production assistant, you need those for the DGA if you want to go the AD route. Keeping your production assistant call sheets and paycheck stubs doesn't serve you if you're going into sound or camera or art department, but you never know. You may want to become an AD. You don't know. Your first year, you just don't quite maybe know yet.
It took me like 2 years.
And then once you decide on what you want to do and you start getting sound mixing jobs, DP jobs, second AC jobs, save all those call sheets too, because you're going to need those to get into that union. Okay, you need to prove it. You need to have it on your call sheet and the paycheck stub in order to get into any union. And for AD work, it just so happens that it's PA days that they need to see in order to get into that union. Everybody clear on that? Yeah? Not confusing, right? Okay, cool. Well, we're at 9:34. And I just know for myself that my brain gets kind of like, I can't absorb that much in really good quality where it's like, after like an hour and a half. So I would like to end the call now and pick up on this, and I'll discuss with Rooney to see what their schedule is. But we'll see. I want to continue this.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it in such detail because it is so good. I mean, this is like, to me, I know that the examples really go into your head and you're like, lose the fear of doing all these things out there. Now, I know that there's a lot of questions in the comments, and I, on purpose, didn't have them come up so that I wouldn't get distracted, because I knew I wanted to get through this. Yes. But please, why don't we do this? Could you email me those questions? I would say post them in Yammer, but I actually want to see them. So maybe email me any questions that you have so that I can know to address them on our next call, and I'll just go through them. Does that sound okay? I'm going to try it that time. We'll try it this way this time.
Yeah, because I'm always like, anybody hit me up on Yammer, and then nobody does it. Like, ask me questions, like, at me in like, nobody does. Sorry, I'm not calling you guys out or anything. I just think it's funny.
Oh, I know. But you know what? I mean, believe me, I can relate with you guys. I understand. It's like as we're talking, questions come up, but then you kind of get an understanding of it. And then you're like, well, that question kind of faded away now.
Yeah.
And, it's the way that it works with learning. So it's totally fine. You don't even have to have any specific question. We will hopefully cover what you want to learn, and, things will just become clear. So we'll work on that schedule. I have now a shoot Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so Monday, you guys, is Jana, who's going to talk about acting. So I think we'll maybe looking at next Tuesday. When do you go back to work? When are you out of quarantine?
So next Thursday and Friday, we're dark because of Thanksgiving, and I think Monday is just a full-on testing day since it's a 4-day weekend. I don't think we're actually working on that Monday, so I know that I'll probably have to go into test on that Monday and then probably start work on that Tuesday. So that's...
Oh, wow. So you're in next Tuesday.
No, not next Tuesday. Like after Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Like 2 weeks from now.
Oh. So next week's pretty good for you.
Yeah, I'm free all week. I can't leave my apartment, so.
Oh my gosh. Well, we are so lucky that you are available.
Yeah, I think the timing is serendipitous. It's so great. Like, I'm here. I want to keep my head into work, and like, this was an unfortunate situation for me because I was really excited to start this job. But I gotta look at the positives of it. Like, I can be here to like mentor and help everybody here, and like also like I kind of like, this is me being selfish, but I get a 2-week break and like still get the job that I want to have. So
yeah.
You got to look at the positives.
Yeah. And just so everybody knows, her roommate got COVID, so she had to, when she filled the questionnaire, she had to say, hey, by the way.
Yeah, well, I had to call my bosses, which was like that took a lot out of me too, because like I was scared. I was scared that like they were going to be like, oh, well, that's actually like, we're about to start, so you know what, we're just going to replace you. Like, that was my fear in the back of my head. So but I had to be honest about it, because like, if I show up to work and I have it and I get the cast and the crew sick and like, it's because of me, like I couldn't live with that. So, and like, we have some older cast members too, like the possibilities, the stories in my head just keep going. But I had to like text I texted one of the second ADs, and I was like, hey, so just letting you know, my roommate, and this is like on Saturday, and I start work on that Monday. So I talked to like 2 of the ADs, and I was really honest with them on the phone, and I was like, hey, I just need to hear you guys say that I'm not losing my job. Because we just had a conversation, like a Zoom conversation with the whole department and the COVID department, of like them saying, if you get it, we're not penalizing you at all, like blah, blah, blah. But like, I needed to make sure that they were honest when they said that.
Yeah.
And both of them were
smart.
Both of them were so great. They, on the phone, they were like, no, like the cast and crew, like, thanks you for being honest and like taking this 2-week quarantine. This is why we hired extra PAs, because we know that the possibility of somebody having quarantine is going to happen. And they were also like, and we're gonna pay you for the 2 weeks. We'll just say that you're working remotely. And I was like, oh, I would have taken the job security over the money, but like I'll take them both. Like but this is the world we live in now. Like, you have to be honest about what's going on. Like, I might be negative this whole time. Like, I'm going to get a test either today or tomorrow just to, like, for my own. Like, the last thing I'm thinking about is my health, because I'm like, I feel great. Like, I don't feel any symptoms. Like, my roommate, she's doing fine. She's at home with her family. Like, you know, but it's about, like, it's so important nowadays with this virus going around. Like, we need to be honest. And, like, we talked about this in my department meeting, was like, in the past, and I know that I've done this too as a PA, I have pushed myself and worked through a sickness and like been on set while I was sick. And it's the worst. Like, if you're on set and you get sick, your cold lasts for an extra 2 weeks because you're not getting enough rest. You're not, you know, your body's not getting what it needs to heal and to get you back to like a nice, you know, homeostasis. But now they're like, if you feel any sort of sickness, any tickle in your throat, cough, sneeze, runny nose, stay home. Yep. Stay home. And
it will have changed from that changed the business.
Yeah.
And that actually is a big benefit for all of us here, because if you
push
can't
too hard
work when you're sick, and people get sick all the time, that means that they're looking for people last minute. Poor production, having to call people all. I mean, they're just, their job is.
And now
really
with testing being a thing, so I think that's why,
it's
like,
gonna be this way.
Yeah.
No, I mean, even past when we get the vaccine and everything, everybody's going to be just more hypersensitive. If you're sick in any way, don't come in.
Yeah, and also with that, I'm now finally working for like really, really respectful and great ADs that understand where I'm coming from as a PA. So when I was like, hey, I'm just like really worried about what this looks like for me in the future with you guys, they were like, that's a totally understand. We totally get where you're coming from. Like, we were all PAs and we know that job security is so important. And something like this in the past could have been like, oh, we can't, like, sorry, we're gonna have to let you go. But like, now I'm working with people who are like, no, totally get why you need the validation. Like, here it is, I'm gonna give it to you, because guys, they know what it's like.
Super smart. That took guts. And
it did not. It hurt, you know, but I knew that was the right thing to do.
Yeah, I love that. It
was a big lesson for me, you know. I had to kind of
you know, you plant the seed. She more than planted the seed. She asked them to commit that she's still got a job.
Yeah.
You know, say it. I want to hear it.
Yeah.
So smart.
And they were like, no. You're in the department. You're on our list. We handpicked this team, like, because we knew that we were going to do a great job with this team. Like, you're still on a roster. One of my bosses was like, get it out of your little head that you're not working for us. Like, and I was like, clearly I have a big head. So
people are so cute.
Yeah.
It's quite touching. Okay. Well, we're going to end the call now, and I'll let you know when the next one's going to be, but Monday with Jana, and we're going to go through this.
Okay.
We're going to go through the rest. We got to here, and we'll go through the rest.
It's great.
But base is huge. I mean, base really is
it's your the
first
big,
6
yeah.
months.
And I'm still in the middle of like working on the body of work and the brand. Like, that's still, you know, the most what's in function right now, whereas like the base is a lot that I've already done. So
yeah. Well, the funny thing is, guys, is that how it works is base as a production assistant, getting experience doing the craft, and then you get people from your base start hiring you as the brand. But then you start all over again, and as the brand, as the DP, as the actor, again, you work on your base. It's not like you start all over again, but you start from a different place.
Yeah.
Then you start from a different place where you're creating your base as what you want to do, continuing to build your body of work, and you know, getting jobs as your brand. So my base as a sound mixer is sometimes it's different people. You know, my base as a sound mixer is all producers, directors, production managers, not ADs, not the same people that Stacy, or different people. So, it would be different for different positions. It's different people that you're building your base with. Still, it helps you so much to know all these other people that say great things about you, because when they're like, "Hey, we're gonna call Janet," people that don't necessarily hire me, like other maybe key PAs or coordinators or even ADs, will say, "Oh, I love her. That's great. It's going to be a great shoot. I love her." And you want to have all those people saying that about you all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah.
By the way, I can see, I'm watching all you guys see Patrick. I'm watching Fernando's just rubbing his eyes. He's tired. He was just like, "Oh, great point. Oh, I'm gonna write that down. Oh,
always Ewa. Such a smiling face all the time. Love it.
It's a lot of multitasking happening here because I want to make my good points because I want to use these for the training. I'm also listening to Rooney, like, "Oh my gosh, that's a great section there." And like, "Okay, what else do we need to?" And then I'm watching you guys. I'm like, "Okay, is this landing on them? Is it too much? If they have any questions coming up, so."
That's what we do. That's what we do in this business. We multitask. That's basically like I'm a professional multitasker.
You are. Yeah, and you get good at it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you very much. I will be in touch. Let me know if there's anything you need or any questions you have. Okay? Sounds good?
Good luck on your shoots, Janet.
Thank you, Rooney. Great job. Thank you so much. Oh my God. Amazing. Amazing. You are amazing. And loving and giving and thoughtful.
Aw, shucks.
Sweet. And it's just, you're here for us and we feel it. And like that, I just want to tell you that givingness, there's nothing more important in the world. There's nothing a bigger gift to any of us. I mean, there's nothing that bigger than that. I mean, that is like really what this world is about. So I just thank you. And we all thank you. Okay. All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Turn the heat up. Oh, wait. You know what it is? Maybe you can help me because I always get sketched out when with the ACs, but it's like sticking out.
Do you want to take it out?
I guess the problem with that is just there's nowhere to put it.
Closet?
Your baby big room. Have you seen the closet?
Yeah, the left side by the brooms.
Yeah, I guess I did kind of clean that up. How's it going?
It's going.
Oh, I think I'm still recording on my phone.
Oh no.